The Square Ball Podcast.
Hello, welcome to the show. The West Stand is our new show. It's out on a Monday and Friday during the season, available on YouTube and in your podcast app, where we welcome guests from across the world of Leeds United. More on that in a second. I'm Dan Moylan. Hello. With me is Michael Normanton, a gentleman who definitely loves a bargain. Yeah?
Correct.
Yeah, good. Oh, yeah, I've got your interest now, haven't I? We've got an exclusive Black Friday deal from our new show sponsor, NordVPN. Tell them about Nord, Michael, and tell them about what you can do with a VPN.
Well, I'm a man who likes cheap stuff. I'm a man who watches a lot of YouTube, a lot of Netflix, stuff like that. Do you think I'm paying full price for that? Of course I'm not. I do a little world tour when I do my subscriptions.
Yeah.
And so you can use NordVPN for that, should you want to.
And if you want to perhaps, I don't know, watch a sporting event,
potentially
from a different country, or be in a different country virtually to watch a sporting event, use a VPN. There's loads of other side benefits as well, like protecting your private data, bank details, and all that sort of stuff.
When you're on the Wi-Fi at Ellen Road. Oh, sorry, no. Yeah. If there was Wi-Fi at Ellen Road on a public Wi-Fi, you can use it for that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
too.
I often like some sort of media ponce, go into like a coffee shop and do some work there. Always stick on my VPN. Do you know what VPN is? And I mean this authentically. I'm a paying customer of NordVPN. So that's the biggest endorsement I can give them, is like, of all of the companies out there, I chose them.
Well done.
Thanks, mate. The fastest VPN in the world as well.
Dan James quick?
At least, if not quicker. Good. I would say. No buffering, no lagging, and that's just Dan James. If you want to get that exclusive Black Friday discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/TSB. That link will give you an additional 4 months on top of your discounted 2-year plan. Risk-free as well, 30-day money-back guarantee from NordVPN. nordvpn.com/TSB, and you'll find the link in the episode description box. Time now to welcome our guests. Hello from Leeds Live, it's Beren Cross. Welcome back.
Hello, you all right, guys?
Very good after that nice relaxing weekend at Ellen Road. And you were in the press conference with both Daniel Farke and Wayne Rooney. Who provided the most entertainment?
Well, Rooney's quite embattled, as you'd imagine, as it was on New Year's Day when Birmingham were here, if you remember. A very, very similar game. But yes, there was a nice little question at the end that was put to him, what he thought about the chance. And yeah, he tried to suggest that he didn't hear it, and that the Leeds fans should sing louder.
Right.
Don't quite believe him, don't know if you do.
If he says it, it must be true.
Potentially.
Yeah. What was Farke like?
Yeah, I think, as ever, tries to sort of accentuate the positives, and especially when they've won, you know, even though it was a match we all expected Leeds should and had to win, really, given the front Plymouth winner. And as soon as you saw how limited they were, it would have been criminal if Leeds had come away without the 3 points. So yeah, didn't get carried away, but clearly very, very relaxed, laid back, talked, you know, nicely about Charlie Carew and Sam Chambers, because he had the ability to do that after a very one-way win like that. But yeah, no real massive bombs dropped, to be honest. Talked a bit about Bamford, and we'll have to wait and see whether he gets back for Wednesday or not, but not too many other sort of news drops, if you like.
Yeah, we will we'll move on to the Millwall thing shortly, but worth touching on some of those things that came out of the Plymouth game. The overall sort of season impact of Dan James is possibly worth touching on, and just in terms of deploying the youth, we'll do that first. It's very un-Farke-like to do that, to have a game so comfortably won, I think, where he feels relaxed enough. I mean, even the sub starting at 65 minutes felt like a break from routine, which is normally 70, isn't it? But they started happening, and yeah, I had to sort of look across from the East Stand and go, who's that coming on? That's a high shirt number. It's youth. It's youth. So, yeah, he kind of, I think he obviously felt relaxed enough that the game was comfortably won at that point.
Yeah, I think if you were going to tell anybody that wasn't there today how comfortable it was, you would tell them, look at the subs, who came on and when they came on. I think sums it up really. Had the time and space to do that. And like you say, he insisted again today they weren't gifts, and that Sam Chambers and Charlie Carew have worked hard in training and deserve those opportunities. But, you know, as you've said, many times he's been up in games 1 or 2 goals, maybe even 3, and hasn't quite felt the ability to do that. But yeah, clearly relaxed enough to do it today. The game was well won, wasn't it? I mean, by the 3rd goal it was done, and the second half was almost a non-event.
We were chatting just before you arrived, actually, about how the heat has almost gone out of the gripes that exist towards Farke and the sort of conservative approach to management that he generally takes in terms of taking the foot off the gas sometimes. Because I feel like if we didn't have another game on Wednesday, we might have scored a couple more there, or gone for it at least. Whereas you kind of accept that second half is going to be a little bit more relaxed because we've got that next game to look forward to. You don't want to sustain any injuries. And with the greatest respect in the world to Plymouth, it was done and dusted. It was won. It was over.
Yeah, it felt like everybody on the pitch knew their role, knew the cadence of the game, knew which way it was going to end, and there was no sense in really overexerting yourself. I mean, Plymouth didn't have the ability to do that, even if they wanted to. And Leeds barely got out of first or second gear, and I think managed it out. And Farke said that a bit in the past, especially in tighter games where the slightly more senior heads will try to manage it out rather than take those maybe extra risky passes that they would have taken if they were chasing the game. And the subs, I think almost killed it as well. I think they come on and Guilavogui was very, very composed, really impressed with him in the circumstances. Very, very calm presence on the ball. And the young lads are rarely going to come on and change the game. But important, if you're ever going to handpick a game across the entire season that they're going to get blooded, it's a comfortable home win against a very limited opponent. So, the gripes-wise, I think when they're winning, there are no gripes either. I think, obviously I wasn't with you last weekend after Bristol, but it felt like even in a 0-0 draw away from home at a team that have been good at home, a few of those gripes did come up on social media. But if they keep winning, I don't think there's going to be any gripes, is there?
Yeah. I've not seen Rooney's post-game stuff yet. Did he address his tactical approach to the game at all? Because we were a bit confused by it because he seemed to not particularly change it, even when they clearly needed it. It seemed the obvious plan at the start was to slow it down as much as possible, defend, and hope to get something. But then at 3-0 down, it felt like they were pretty much sticking to that. Yeah,
if I'm brutally honest, I missed the first couple of questions because we were talking to Guilavogui. They put him up post-match, so myself and a few of the other guys on the local patch were outside, but we came in and caught the back half of it, and his answers really didn't shed much light at all on his tactical plan, and I don't know if that's just his limited ability of sort of articulating what he wants to say. But he was asked, how good is this Leeds team? Is this Leeds team going to get promoted this year? And he said, yeah, they're a good team. They've got good players. If anything other than promotion will be a failure this year, but didn't actually go into the reasons why they were a good team or which particular players. So maybe he clearly just lost the game 3-0, so he's clearly not in a mood to be talking about how good Leeds are. But no, to answer your question, there wasn't a lot of tactical insight from him. Clearly they came in with 6 defenders, 3 midfielders, and just shut up shop really, didn't they?
Yeah. With limited success.
Shut up shop at 3-0. So well done.
Strange. Guilavogui, what did he have to say for himself then in the post-match?
Really, as you can imagine, very articulate guy, 34, seen it all, done it all, played with some very, very good footballers and has got a really lovely worldview. I don't know if any of you watched the LUTV interview that he did when he first arrived, but just doesn't stop smiling. Really happy guy. We asked him directly about his role that Farke has talked at length about. We want somebody to come in who's going to be happy to basically carry Ampadu's bags when he's fit, who's going to put an arm around the younger players' shoulders. And he was happy with all of that. No sense of bitterness or, I'm going to prove the manager wrong or I'm going to get stuck in and I'm going to get minutes. He was like, I'm here to, if I play 1 minute, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I'll do whatever the manager wants me to, but I'm really happy to be here. But he was quite pleased because as soon as he came on, the Olays came out, didn't they? As soon as he came on, everybody was Olaying every pass, and he spoke with a bit of a twinkle in his eye about that and says, I'm not a bad player, but I don't know if I deserve Olays when I first come on. But really, really nice guy. And of course, you want nice guys to do well. So hopefully he does get a few more minutes this year. Yeah,
that was all in the spirit of kindness and generosity, wasn't it? We could afford to just be nice to him. Yeah. And because it started off with a cheer from his first pass. Everybody wanted him to make a successful first pass, which kind of just evolved into the Olays for the rest of the team. And then the Plymouth fans started doing it as well when they got the ball back, which I thought was quite funny.
And just the general vibe of a pre-season testimonial game had descended by that point, hadn't it? And it was like, well, this is just, we might as well do something, because if we're not going to cheer some passes, it's likely nothing else is going to happen in this game.
That was it, wasn't it? I mean, like I said, it felt a lot like New Year's Day. When you beat Birmingham 3-0, that was Rooney's last game for Birmingham, if you remember, and it felt like there was so little else to actually talk about or cheer on the pitch. It was a case of get stuck into Rooney every 5 minutes because there was nothing else to really do. And of course, when the young lads and Guilavogui come on, you've got something else to sort of cheer on. But apart from that, there wasn't much else to really get stuck into, was there?
Man of the match for you, who would you go for?
Oh, that's tough. I know we are a bit of a Tanaka fan club, aren't we? He's just consistently brilliant. Such a cut above this level, let alone a team that's struggling at this level. But probably Rothwell might have edged it for me. I think Pirro, I give Pirro pelters quite often in my ratings and things. Last week he was really poor, but today, lovely trap of the ball before Aronson's goal and of course took his own goal pretty well. But probably Rothwell just. But there was 3 or 4 that were sort of on a par.
I was going to say it's a sheet of paper between them. It's Rothwell on an 8.1 on FOTMob and 8.2 for Tanaka.
I'm just looking through your match ratings. It kind of sums up what we said. I think pretty much everyone's got a 7 or an 8. Yeah, everyone was just good.
Our match ratings.
Beren's match ratings.
No, thank you.
Beren's
Thank you very
yeah.
much.
Actually, right,
Just browsing through those. Just have a look at them now, yeah.
Oh, good. We'll see what some RTSB Plus members think.
What did Melia do to deserve a 6, eh? Didn't do a thing.
Exactly. I think with goalkeepers, I don't want to get bogged down in a conversation about player ratings, but yeah, it's very hard to mark goalkeepers unless they have something to do. I think if they've had stuff to do and done it badly, they immediately drop down to a 5 or a 4. And if they've had something to do and done it well, it goes up to a 7 or 8. But generally, if it's a quiet game, as a lot of Leeds games are at this level for goalkeepers, it's a bog standard 6.
I was going to say, what is that your starting point?
You start at 6,
right?
Generally, and then you go up or go down. You try and accumulate little points during a game, good bits and bad bits, and it sort of knocks it up and knocks it down. But yeah, I think with a 3-0 win at home, people say, why are you not giving them 9s and 8s? Well, you've got to look at the opposition, because a 9 against the Plymouth is not the same as a 9 against a Burnley or a Sheffield United.
And because it wasn't top gear, was it? It was second gear for the most part.
No.
Yeah, just a very, very. It was almost like not a procession, but wasn't far off. It all felt very relaxed. Yeah, I'm just looking at not the other ratings, the other top scorers like James and Tanaka both. James and Pirro both got 8s for FOTMob as well. So yeah, that's fairly reflective, I think, of the game overall. And Sam Byram's done a decent turn, I think, since he stepped in to cover suspensions in the last couple of games.
He's just a very solid and capable footballer, isn't he, Byram? Either side. I'd prefer him on the right, personally, because I feel like he gives a bit more attacking threat out there, because he's obviously more natural to go outside and cross. But yeah, he's a very good player to have in the squad. I'd be interested to see if Bogle comes back in. I kind of assuming he will, given Byram's
I would have thought so.
Legs.
Yeah.
Probably this is his biggest weakness, isn't it? Essentially, his fitness. So I'm guessing Bogle comes back in, but if Byram's there to fill in either side, it is a nice comfort blanket.
Yeah, and obviously Schmidt, he feels like he's not ready quite up to the level just yet, but is useful in terms of cover anyway.
Yeah, this clearly something we're not seeing in training, but it might not be a bad thing. But clearly there's a pecking order, and he can only give minutes to so many people. But he was not going to take Firp or Byram off early today, because Firp has obviously just come back in, and Byram, as you say, will probably not play on Wednesday. So Schmidt's just going to have to wait a little bit longer, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And just returning to Dan James, as I mentioned before, he's really starting to emerge now as I think a key character in this season. And another goal today. I've actually watched it back now since we've recorded the match ball. Wasn't quite sure what happened, but it caught a lot of people in the ground, I think, by surprise. If you actually look, he took a touch that sent it slightly away from him, so he was almost stretching and lunging for that toe into the top corner. But it doesn't look like it took a deflection, because we weren't quite sure when we spoke on the match ball, because we hadn't yet watched it back. But other than that, yeah, he's so valuable at this level, I think.
Yeah, he's been great. I think even last season, clearly at the Premier League, we all had our problems with him, and I think none of us were really too bothered when he went out on loan to Fulham. But coming down last season, clearly a lot of the players left, and he was one of those that stuck around, and crucially has become one of the older heads now and experienced. And like you say, he's now providing final products, goals and assists, and a massive boost when you found out that he's in the team today at 2:00 when there was that injury doubt hanging over him. Yeah, really good finish. I think I saw on his post-match, he said it wasn't a toe poke, but yeah, when you look at the speed at which he took it, and there wasn't much backlift on it, there must have been something on it. But whatever he did, it was perfect. Top corner.
It worked, and it counts. Yeah, very much so. In your eyes, has his decision making got better?
It's hard to say, because the decision making criticisms were in the Premier League, and it is very different. So it's hard to know exactly how all of this translates to being in the Premier League. But certainly let's
get there first, shall we?
Well, exactly. It's the same with all of the losers who got us relegated. You take a second look up here and you go, they look all of a sudden loads better. But
Adam Forshaw didn't look a lot better today, did he?
No, bless him.
Adam Forshaw was a fine player for us 5 years ago, but realistically, he wouldn't get anywhere near our squad now.
No, exactly. He got caught in possession and he gave it away a few times. You could just see the difference between someone like Tanaka, who's at the peak of his career, who can I did say on the match ball, I was surprised that he got caught in possession for the first time since he signed. But other than that, a majestic performance. But yeah, you can see why. Forshaw's has had his injuries. He's in his mid-30s. There's no pretending he's anything other than the tail end of his career now.
But with Dan James as well, the other thing is a lot of the frustrations came from Bielsa playing him as a striker, because people didn't like that. And rightly so, because I don't ever think it particularly worked there. But Bielsa thought he could do it, and he was sent out to do it, and he tried his best, but it just didn't work. So, not his fault.
Is that because he's not a striker?
Yes, correct.
Right. That's my assessment.
Yeah. But on the wing, he's great, and he's very dangerous. We seem to be focusing a lot more down the right-hand side today, actually, given we had Nonto and Firpo on the left as well, and you'd think there's kind of an equal balance of danger there, but it felt like it did tend to come down the right more. Maybe because their Plymouth's one half decent player was on the right hand side. So maybe we went for our right instead.
But yeah, I think he's going to be instrumental for the rest of the season if he stays fit. Hopefully he will. Yeah, subs wise, just returning to those because I'm thinking about like wide men. It's a nice problem to have that even when we have got injuries in the form of like Ramazani being out, that there are still options there. And even being able to bring young players off the bench. I thought Chambers did all right when he came on.
Yeah, really bright. I think got stuck in him and Crew both got stuck in him, weren't phased by it. I mean, Crew even nearly got a goal late on, didn't he? Forced the tip over the bar from Grimshaw. But yeah, Chambers, really bright. I've asked Farke, what have they done specifically behind the scenes that's really earned that debut, as he called it. And he just says they're grafting well. Crew's developing physically, but it's been very consistent with his passing. And Chambers he's been involved in a lot of goals in training. He said, goals and assists. So he's getting stuck in, and that's of course with first teamers. So time he's only 17, but certainly bright and no massive errors, which of course is the thing you want, not to kill their confidence in the first day. Yeah,
so we're just recording ahead of Millwall facing Burnley in the Sunday fixture. But looking at the games prior to that, the last 5, they won at Swansea. They beat Plymouth at home. That's Millwall at home. Drew with Derby at Millwall. 0-0 with West Brom away. We know that's not a bad result. And then lost to Cardiff 1-0. They're on a pretty decent run of form as well. So Millwall, it's a mixed bag, but they are higher in the table than you expected, aren't they? Actually, Michael, you were saying on the match ball, you didn't.
I think it was Chris. Actually,
was it Chris? Yeah. Your accents are so similar. I get you confused.
It is very easy done. Yeah, I mean, it feels like Millwall last season was a game that we probably turned up expecting it to be difficult, and actually it was a bit of a stroll in the park, wasn't it? It wasn't like Millwall games of old. We just seemed to turn up without any of that old pressure on us. We just feel like we're just better, so we'll just win. So the hope is we can do the same again, I suppose.
Yeah, and an extra day for us to prepare. It must make some sort of difference. I know we've got to travel, and they don't. They've got 2 home games in quick succession, but you'd hope that a tough workout against Burnley on Sunday will have at least given us some sort of a little something, a marginal gain, if you like, when we get there on Wednesday. Heading down to that?
Yeah, going down on Wednesday, stopping over it with it being a late one. I think it always feels difficult going to Millwall, doesn't it? Because of the sort of what that club is synonymous with. But as Michael said, I mean, last season they absolutely took them apart. That was one of the really good days with a lot of the best players were still on show, I think. So yeah, Leeds in a really good place, and of course QPR at home next week. So if they go into the international break with 9 from 9, they're in a really good place. Sunderland, of course, dropped 2 points today at QPR. So I imagine it'll be just the one change. I think Bogle for Byram, because apart from that, everybody's in good place and got rests today if they needed them. But yeah, good place and nothing to really worry about, I think, going into it at least. Yeah,
I think even though our bench is still looking pretty solid and we've got some options there, we're into that territory of perhaps not having too many options in terms of changing the starting 11. Like you wouldn't want to start, well, you wouldn't want to necessarily mix up central midfield, obviously, because they're in great form. At the minute, out wide, we don't have too many options, and I suppose they're trying to treat Solomon with kid gloves to make sure that he gets back towards full fitness. So we're not, I wouldn't say we're threadbare, but we're at the it's getting a bit stretched, I think.
I think if Pirro had another Bristol game today, you'd maybe be looking at Joseph starting, but he played pretty well, scored a goal, so I can't see him making any changes there either.
No, I agree. I think Joseph and Solomon are the only ones on the bench you look at and think that they have the quality to start, but as it stands, there's no room for Solomon on the wings, and like you say, if Pirro plays like that today, then there's no reason to take him out as it stands.
Yeah, what do you think of Joel Pirro?
I'm still never sure. I thought he did perfectly well today, and he took his goal well. The thing is, the goal he scored today, he's undoubtedly the person I want that chance to fall to, because he takes it. It's good. He controls it well. It's a good touch. He takes the chance early. You think some of the players are trying to maybe take an extra touch there, and then it's a bit too late for him. Like
just swing a big boot maybe or something.
He's very composed in those situations. So when it drops to someone like that in the box, he's the man for it. But I suppose it's in games where maybe you're looking for someone to push the centre backs, occupy them a little bit more, where he can sometimes frustrate me a bit. Yeah,
although you do wonder, given how Sheffield United approach the game when they come, and we were chatting about this, I think, on the show in the lead up to it, recent games, has some of the physicality almost gone out of the Championship now? A lot of people adopting a different style that means maybe there's less of the sort of the barn storming centre forward needed now, because referees are so picky. The ref today, or Saturday as it was when we recorded this, was giving some very, very soft free kicks. Nothing too bad, but you kind of went, is that modern football? You know, is that really a free kick? It's just a couple of players scrapping for it, but fine. So I don't know. Maybe Joel Piroux can prosper on Wednesday. And top scorer with 5. Aronson's got 4. He's proven to be valuable as well, and he's contributing plenty of goals.
Yeah, he took his goal really well today. I felt, you know, he gambled on it, made that run off the ball, didn't know the ball was going to fall to him as it did via the defender. So maybe didn't catch the eye as much as a James or a Piroux today, but as we know, very, very busy, puts his foot in. He's not going over as easy as he used to. And he has proven to be an asset in and around that box. And he's more than good enough at this level to be, you know, one of those 4 attackers. I think Piroux is quite inconsistent. I think clearly we know his best position is leading the line. But as Michael said last weekend, if a game like that compared to a game like today is just a vast difference in what you might get, and depending on the team that you're playing against and how the rest of the team is playing around him. But yeah, in and around the box, he's the man you want. Yeah,
we're looking pretty good. I was looking at the divisional team stats, and we're right up there with like the highest average ratings and scoring the most almost. Don't concede many. Very high possession, loads of clean sheets, loads of expected goals. We're right in we're in the sort of top 3 for all of these. I'm just looking on FotMob, all the various stats. We're even in the top. Oh no, we're not. We're 23rd for accurate long balls per match. It's showing it on the screen. Actually, we're not anywhere near the top. But yeah, we're sitting pretty. Is the point I'm making.
They're in a really good place, aren't they? I think obviously match by match there are different things that get thrown up, but in terms of the underlying data, they're in a really, really good place. And you would hope across a 46 game season they are going to be more than good enough for most of the teams in this league.
Are you surprised by anything that's happened in the Championship so far? The way it's now taking shape. We were saying on the match ball, like we worked out, oh God, we're not even actually at the 3rd point of the season yet. Played a lot of games, 13 so far. It's settling down now. Surprised to see Sunderland at the top, maybe?
Yeah, definitely. And I foolishly thought Blackburn might get relegated after losing Schmodix, and I thought they'd had some questionable business. I know they lost today, but generally they've started a lot better than I thought. Oxford doing better than I thought. Sheffield Wednesday not doing as well as I thought. Got absolutely battered today by Watford, I think 6-2. So a few surprises like that, but I think Coventry I thought would do a lot better. Luton as well.
Yeah.
I thought Coventry and Borough would be the 2 that might gate crash that sort of relegated 3 plus Leeds in the top 6, but neither of them, I mean, Coventry obviously won there today, but neither are really sort of making it stick, as it were.
But it's weird, isn't it, the Championship, in the sense that there's a lot of churn with players. Like the talented players just tend to rise and get bought off and go elsewhere. So you're either looking at a rebuild in the sense that we did, or they just have to backfill with other players. But I mean, even you saying Oxford are doing better than you thought. They're only 2 points ahead of Plymouth at the minute, who are sitting in the relegation spots in 22nd. And even like Blackburn have gone to 7. So you could see it all just sort of gradually evening out, I suppose, can't you? It's a very homogenous division, I think, for a large part. It's very similar. Like the team in 7th is Blackburn on 19 points. The team in 21st, so these are between the playoffs and the relegation spots, is Luton. So it's only a 7-point gap.
Yeah, it's nothing, isn't it? It's such a long season. You look at the run that Leeds put together last season, that 15-game run from the turn, ironically, starting against Rooney's Birmingham. It just completely transformed the table. 17 points back and we're top of the table going into the Easter break, I think. So you can't draw too many conclusions. You could easily see Coventry and the Robins putting together a run. You could see Carrick with Borough putting together a run. It's just too early to call, isn't it?
They're weird. Middlesbrough. We were saying that earlier, weren't we? Very weird.
Yeah, in my head they're good, even though we beat them last year. But they were tough games, and then they obviously completely took us to the cleaners in the cup. So I kind of have them in my mind as a big danger, but then they don't seem to win.
From what I've read,
every week
hasn't kicked on like he obviously scored against Leeds in every game last year. I think they played. So he's one that I've read hasn't. I think he was one that had his head turned in the summer and just hasn't really turned up this year, which has been the big problem with their squad. But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, a bit weird.
Yeah, we only lost 1 game. We're doing all right.
Not bad at all, is it?
No, I know, and it's strange. We were chatting off air before you came across from the stadium, Beren, saying it's weird. Almost knowing you're like the best team in the division or one of, and having the expectation of being right up there. Because even in our previous stays in this division, it never felt quite like this. Even like Bielsa trying to get us promoted, it always felt it felt a lot closer to the division than it does right now. It feels like it's maybe stratified a little bit more. Whether is it parachute payments or what, or our spending power that we've got from selling loads of players has distorted it, because nobody else in this division is routinely buying like £5-10 million players.
It does feel like unless Leeds are doing a Leicester like last season and are 8, 9, 10 points clear, that none of us are really going to get sort of too carried away or feel too satisfied, are we? I think they're ticking over fine. We've mentioned underlying data there. But because they haven't got that gap, and there are still Sunderland, your Sheffield United winning again today, Burnley we'll see tomorrow, because they're all hanging around, everybody doesn't quite want to get too carried away or get too optimistic. But I think the nuts and bolts are there for a promotion season, clearly.
Yeah, I feel quite relaxed about this season relative to the absolute terror I've existed in.
That's because we played 13 games.
Yeah, and we beat Plymouth at a canter.
Yeah.
Right.
Come back to me like,
April,
March.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. Awful time of the year.
All just completely shuddering. So, yeah, what are we hoping for from Millwall? Does it just fall into the category of, if we turn up and we're as good as we can be on our day, that we should beat them?
Pretty much,
Is it fine to expect that, do we think?
Yeah, like most games in this league, if Leeds turn up and play to their capabilities, they'll turn them over. But if they don't, and if they're off it, as we've seen, it can be the case away from home on Wednesday nights. We know how hard Leeds can find it in the capital at times. It could become quite a difficult game, and we know Neil Harris will enjoy that.
Any indication from Farke about when we're going to start seeing some players back? I know Bamford was ruled out at the weekend due to illness.
Yeah, so the assumption had been that it was his adductor issue that Farke had mentioned on Thursday, and then it came out after the team news that Bamford was in fact ill. So Farke was a little bit in the dark because Bamford had been too ill to train on the Friday. He wasn't then able to test out the adductor. So we'll see. They've got Joseph on the bench, haven't they? So it's not a massive loss if Bamford isn't rushed back for Wednesday. Ampadu and Grove, we know, are long-term. Verba, of course, was back in the squad on Saturday, but I think it'll take a few weeks before Farke feels ready to chuck him in. Am I missing anybody?
What was the prognosis for Ramazani? That was the one that kind of...
Ramazani, yeah.
that kind of piqued my interest most, because it was about 4 to 6 weeks.
Maybe 6 to 8, I think.
Right.
I remember, I think certainly after the next international break. I need to revisit the quotes, but yeah, a long time off, not expecting him back imminently.
So it's going to be towards Christmas, effectively, I suppose.
I think so, yeah. December, yeah.
Because that's 8 weeks.
There's the huge Leeds United cynicism element to this as well, where you go, it's 8 weeks till they announce he does need an operation, and then it's 3 months, and then we kind of get him back. It's nearly the end of the season. There's no point. Just come back in pre-season.
Send him out on loan in January. Go get your fitness, lad. Get your fitness. All right, okay. So I think just rounding things up, we're all quite happy. Farke's happy. I think his calm demeanour is making me calmer, and I know it didn't work out at the end of last season, but I can see what he's trying to do. I understand why we play with a certain amount of control and maybe sometimes don't kill teams off as we might like. But I think he views it almost from a slightly, I don't know, he's taken a step back on the whole season, and he knows what it takes to get out of this division because he's done it twice with Norwich. Not quite last year, but
2 points per game, I think, will end up being enough this year.
It should be, shouldn't it?
Has to be.
And we're on that now.
Yeah, 26 from 13. I think he's got enough experience at this level where he knows you've got to keep looking at the big picture. He talks about it openly that it is such an emotional fan base because everybody wants the team to do well. He knows that he has to then balance that out and be calm, whether it's a win or a defeat. But he knows he can't manage the emotions of 40,000 people.
We had a little hint of it there, but are you calm?
Yeah. That game today was Mogadon. just absolutely nothing happened in that second half. It was just sat watching it. It's like watching wallpaper.
Did you not leave at half time?
It went beyond 80 minutes today.
Really?
Yeah.
That's how calm it was.
Very, very relaxed. Yeah.
He only leaves when it's exciting.
Yeah.
Missed all that Leicester fun.
Because of talk about it on the show, people now start coming up to him in the stadium and saying, "You still here then?" Like that. And he said, "Well, he said I'm the good luck charm because as soon as I go, Leeds score. So maybe I should go." But ironically enough, if there's any game where he could have probably comfortably left at half time, this was the one. But what else is he going to do with this time? That's the question. Anything else then to add? Oh, should we wrap it up there?
Let's just beat Millwall.
Right.
If we can beat Millwall, then you can write off the fact we should have probably had a bit more of a go at Bristol, because if you win every other away game, fine. Doesn't matter, does it? So assuming we turn up against QPR, who are second bottom at the minute, would you take a draw through the week? No. In order to take let's just get on a run of games and win some now and get to the top of the league and stop pissing around. Right, so the clickbait, Normanton demands. I want heads to roll if we don't win twice this week. Are you feeling quite calm, Beren? Yeah, if you get 9 from these 9, I think you're in a really, really good place. And you look at Sunderland, like I say, dropping 2 points today. As long as you keep turning the pressure on them, at some point you will hopefully find yourself on top. But yeah, I think going into the international break, 9 points from these 9, feel pretty good about things. These are the fixtures you need to be getting wins from. Who have we got first out after the international break?
Let me just have a quick look at that. We're playing Swansea away. Sunday
at 3:00. Very odd time.
Yeah. Why is that? Are we on TV? What's happened?
That's the assumption, isn't it? But that would interfere with Super Sunday, wouldn't it?
Although I think they do show. I don't know. It'll all become clear soon enough. Anyway, it'll all become clear soon enough. But yeah, it's that game back after the international breaks that always makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable because you never quite know what you're going to come back to. Whether they've all been distracted by being away with their daft mates on holiday.
Battered Swansea last season, didn't they? That was one of the best away days. So all being well, do the same.
Fingers crossed. Beren, thanks for coming across, and we will we'll catch up with you soon again. And people can find you on Twitter /X at Beren Cross and on the Leeds live feed as well. We'll catch up with you soon. Cheers.
The Square Ball Podcast.